Selena Gomez might not say much online, but her silence is screaming. One quiet unfollow, one awkward interview, and one resurfaced rumor. That's all it took for the internet to explode with theories. Fans aren't just guessing anymore, they're connecting the dots. And those dots are painting a picture that even Selena might not be able to hide for long. Something is clearly unraveling behind the scenes, and it all begins with someone fans never expected to become part of the problem. Teresa Murray. Teresa wasn't just any friend. She was one of Selena's constants. They met back in 2014, and for nearly a decade, Teresa was part of the inner circle, the trusted few who saw Selena at her best and worst. She wasn't just in the background, she was a pillar until she wasn't. The whispers began when fans noticed Teresa had been missing from Selena's social feed. No tags, no shoutouts, just gone. But what made things spiral was the fact that Selena unfollowed Teresa on Instagram. For anyone else, it might have gone unnoticed, but this is Selena, a woman who barely posts and rarely unfollows. When she does, fans listen, and what they found next blew the story wide open. Rumor had it that Benny Blanco, Selena's fiancé, had subscribed to Teresa's private content online. Suddenly, the silence didn't seem so quiet anymore. The betrayal wasn't just digital. Paparazzi photos surfaced showing Benny and Teresa having lunch. Not just a friendly meetup, they were sitting close. Very close. Too close for comfort. Especially considering the timeline. Especially considering the optics. Especially considering Teresa was one of Selena's closest friends. And that's when the questions began. If something did happen between Benny and Teresa, why was it Teresa who got unfollowed? Why was Benny still in the picture, still posting, still being tagged in romantic shots with Selena? It didn't make sense. Unless Selena knew more than she was letting on, and was trying to hold everything together before it all came crashing down. But Benny wasn't exactly helping. If anything, he was making things worse. One podcast at a time. Fans had already been side-eyeing him for a while, but one particular story tipped them over the edge. Benny, on a podcast, casually shared that in the early days of dating, Selena would arrive at his place half an hour early and just sit in her car. He saw her on his security cameras, and that was it. No warm welcome, no texting her to come inside. Just Selena waiting, alone, in her car. What started as a quirky anecdote quickly turned into a red flag. People were stunned. This wasn't just a private moment, and it was a moment that made Selena look desperate, like a love-struck teenager waiting for a guy to notice her. For someone like Selena, who spent years building a brand around confidence, class, and quiet strength, the image didn't sit right. This wasn't her. This wasn't the girl who commands respect. It felt wrong. Worse, it felt careless. Why didn't Benny just let her in? Why did he think sharing that moment publicly was funny? And why did he say nothing when people started dragging her for it? But the awkward anecdotes didn't stop there. Benny also admitted that Selena was the one who asked him out first. That she initiated the "I love you." That she thought their first date was a date, but he didn't realize it until much later. He even quoted her saying, "If I'd known this was a date, I would have dressed better." And his response? Wait, this was a date? What was supposed to be charming came off as clueless, or worse, like he wasn't taking her seriously. Again and again, Benny tells stories that show Selena putting in the effort, and him just existing. And when he finally decided to add some humor to the mix, it got even messier. He called their relationship charity. Yes, charity. He joked that being with Selena felt like she was doing a good deed, that she was out of his league and he was just lucky to be along for the ride. At first it sounded like self-deprecation, but over time it stopped being funny. He kept repeating it, again and again. "I'm trash, she's a queen." Over and over until fans started to wonder, is this really insecurity or is it something darker? Because at a certain point, when someone keeps insisting they don't deserve their partner, it stops being about modesty It starts looking like manipulation, like he's trying to cement an imbalance so that she never walks away. Some even called it emotional anchoring, making Selena feel like she holds all the power so she won't notice how he's actually taking control in other ways. And that brings us to the wedding, or the lack of one. They're engaged, allegedly. But whenever the topic of marriage comes up, Selena laughs it off. "I'm busy filming. We haven't talked about it." And Benny, he doesn't say a word. During a recent interview, when asked about wedding plans, Selena brushed it off with a vague answer. Benny sat there, silent, looking like he had no idea they were even supposed to be planning anything. It was awkward. Painfully awkward. And then came hot ones. You'd think eating spicy wings would be the most uncomfortable part. But nope. It was the moment Benny asked Selena to name his most underrated song, and she blanked. She couldn't name a single one. She apologized, tried to recover, but it was too late. The internet had already clipped it, memed it, and turned it into another sign that something was off. That maybe she's not as into him as everyone thinks. Or maybe she's just tired. Because let's be honest, holding up a relationship where you're the one always trying? That's exhausting. And yet, she still tried to smooth things over. Selena posted sweet photos with Benny, painting the picture of a happy couple. And then, almost as if to throw fans off the scent, she posted an old photo with Teresa. But the damage was done. She still hasn't refollowed Teresa, and that silence speaks volumes. For fans who followed Selena's journey, this isn't just another celebrity drama. It's a pattern. First, it was Francia Raisa, the friend who literally donated a kidney to her Magna and ended up cut off. Then came Raquel Stevens, whose intense energy during the My Mind and Me documentary led fans to label her toxic. Now it's Teresa. 3 women who were once like family, all gone. What's going on? Is Selena outgrowing people? Is she finally setting boundaries, or is something, or someone, pushing these women away? Because here's the thing. In every one of these situations, Benny was there, and each time Selena's circle got smaller, her world tighter, her support system quieter, and the internet can't ignore it anymore. So now fans are left wondering, is this really the fairy tale it's supposed to be? Or is Selena just playing along, hoping things will magically fix themselves? Because when someone keeps hearing their partner say, "I'm not good enough for you," it doesn't always sound sweet. Sometimes it sounds like a warning, like they're preparing you for disappointment, or trying to trap you into staying out of guilt. And when fans dug deeper, they found something chilling. A pattern some call the average guy trap. It's when a regular guy gets into a relationship with a wildly successful woman, and then acts like he's the prize. Like she's lucky to have him. Like he's doing her a favor just by showing up. Benny seems to be fitting that mold a little too well. As one tweet put it, "Every time I want to like Benny Blanco, he reminds me he's just another guy embarrassing his girlfriend in public." And you know what? That tweet went viral. Because it didn't just sound like an opinion, it sounded like the truth. So where does that leave Selena? Trying to hold the pieces together. Smiling in photos. Avoiding interviews, ignoring the rumors. But behind the scenes, it's impossible to believe she isn't affected. This isn't the kind of drama you can just tune out. This is her best friend. Her fiancé. Her name, her brand, her peace. All being tested at once. And yet, she's quiet. She always has been. But quiet doesn't mean nothing's happening. In fact, in Selena's world, silence is the loudest thing she says. End with call to action. So what do you think is really going on? Is Selena finally realizing the cost of this relationship? Or is she trying to protect something that's already falling apart? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the bell. We've got more stories coming your way.